Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first event weapon that's going to come back into the game again, especially so soon after doing the normal Strun review, the Strun Wraith. The Wraith version was introduced into the Survival Weekend event, which was to launch, unsurprisingly, the Survival game mode into the game. Since then, it's been sat in Digital Extreme's vault until a video on Game Informer yesterday revealed that it's going to be re-released back into the game with a brand new Kubra related tactical alert starting this weekend, which you can expect a video on as soon as that goes live. So what's everybody so excited about? Well, with a base damage of 150, with the majority of it coming in the form of impact with 97.5, 22.5 in puncture and 30 in slash. It's not the most damaging shotgun per shot, in fact doing less damage than even the original Strun. In addition to that, with a crit chance of just 15%, damage multiplier of 200%, it's not the crit chance and the crit stats people are looking forward to. It's the absolutely amazing 40% status chance, allowing for builds that can very easily take advantage of 100% status, which on shotguns and fast-firing weapons, things like the Grakata, is actually a pretty fun mechanic. In addition to that, with a magazine size of 8 rounds and only a 1.5 second reload, the weapon is pretty effective in groups of enemies and feels really good to use. It's definitely not clunky at all. The Strun Wraith also comes with pretty damn good spread and an above average pellet count that it has, meaning that getting more pellets on target every time is actually pretty easy. Now, there are only really a couple of downsides to the Strun Wraith. Firstly is that impact is not the greatest damage type, with the only faction that actually has a bonus to the impact is the Corpus, and even then that's only really the shielded units. In addition to that, the fall off is pretty steep. I mean, it's even noticeable at about 25 or more meters. However, if you use this weapon properly, that's never going to be an issue, since shotguns are designed to be all up in your grill, right up in your face. Who really cares about fall off at that point, right? Okay, so let's move on to starting to mod the Strun Wraith. Now, it does come with a dash polarity as standard, however we're going to add 3 former to the weapon, which is going to be 2 Vs and another dash. Now, we've only got a couple of mods that are remaining the same between all 3 of our builds. We've got Prime Point Blank for damage, Hell's Chamber for multi-shot, and Ammo Stock. Now, this is definitely a personal preference mod. I like having a magazine size of 13. It makes the weapon, in my opinion, play so much better. If you don't wish to have the ammo stock on there, and this is the reason I actually do have this ammo stock in this dash polarity, because you don't need it. However, you can change it out with an 11-point elemental, which is going to give you obviously more elemental damage, and the shotgun in general would just do more damage. I like ammo stock just because it makes it feel better for me. Like I say, definitely personal preference, either one works really. Incendiary Coat is going to do more damage though. Now, in terms of our builds, for Grenier, we're going to go with Radiation Viral, so Frigid Blast, Contagious Spread, and Toxic Barrage, which is going to bring up the viral damage, and Shell Shock and Blaze, which is going to bring up Radiation. Now, for the Corpus, we've got a bit of an issue, because Blaze does extra damage as well, so it's definitely a mod that really should be on the shotgun. However, it increases heat damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to obviously go with the magnetic, so Frigid Blast, Charge Shell, and Shell Shock to bring up the max magnetic damage. And we're going to go with Scattering Inferno and Blaze to max out the heat damage. Now, heat against the Corpus, while unlike Toxin gets a bonus against the fleshy Corpus units, the heat doesn't, and the heat actually gets a slight negative against the shields of things like the techs. However, the thing that is very underestimated with heat, especially on a 100% status weapon, is the heat proc itself, the fire proc, because it will actually cause like an enemy to flail around, so it actually acts as a temporary stun. And if you want to stun them and close in, you can actually hit them with it at a distance and sort of hope that the fire procs. So you can actually use it as a closing down mechanic as well. But the only other option you've got on here is gas, and gas as an element, just as an elemental, it just sucks. It's rubbish. So you're better off keeping the heat damage on there, keeping the fire damage, and going specifically for that fire proc. Obviously, with a shotgun, it's got 10 pellets, so you've got a pretty good chance of proccing the heat fairly often, and it is very, very useful to have. Now for the Void, Toxic Barrage, Contagious Spread, Shell Shock for corrosive damage, Scattering Inferno, and Blaze once again for the heat damage. Now if you're going for the corrosive projection build, you can change out Shell Shock for Frigid Blast, and that'll give you the viral and heat that you need for that build. So is it going to be worth the farm and the former when it's releasing this tactical alert? Absolutely yes it is. The subscribers I've been lucky enough to play with recently may have seen me using this quite a bit, and that's because I love these status based shotguns like this and the Boar Prime. There is absolutely nothing funnier than unloading a magazine into an enemy that might not die from the damage and just seeing an insane list of status effects on the screens. It's absolutely incredible to know you've just ruined some enemy's day. The weapon itself, it feels so good to use. With the magazine upgrade, ammo stock, the Strun Wraith is just amazing to go into groups of enemies and go absolutely nuts. I know 8 rounds isn't bad. I know I could put another elemental in there for more damage, and that the 1.5 second reload is not long at all. But from a personal point of view, this is how I find it to be the most fun to play. To dive into the middle of a huge group of enemies, face first, Strun Wraith firing. The weapon looks awesome. It sounds even better, like the Hounds of Hades barking. It's absolutely epic. It's got theatre, and it's so much fun to play. Shotguns in general need a damage buff, that's for sure. They don't scale that well and will not go into late game content at all, for the most part. And I mean, the Strun Wraith is no stranger to that. But you know what? I really don't care about all that when I play with this. It looks epic, it sounds epic, and I feel like a badass for using it. Mowing down enemies with wave on wave of status procs. If you can get it from this tactical alert, quite frankly, if you even have half of the fun that I've had with this thing, then trust me, you're going to enjoy things a whole lot more.